Alright guys, welcome along. I'm always me the weirdo, and this is Anthem. Now, one of the reasons I decided to stream today is because Anthem's been getting literally no positive press or no positive opinions out there, and like I did with No Man's Sky, I bought the game from launch because I like the look of it. I didn't buy the game because I thought it was going to be all singing, all dancing. It was going to be exactly what they said it was going to be at launch, because I've come to realise that in this day and age, publishers want instant gratification. Consumers, us, we want instant gratification. We want the game now. We don't want to wait. And yeah, there are pockets of people who prefer to have shall we say, a finished game from launch, but them days are gone. Early access is the new thing. EA are not the best publisher. They publish some
sure.
Right. Sorry about that. So essentially what I'm getting at is, yeah, EA publish loads of great games, but they publish loads of great games because they've got the power to bully or bring those games to a bigger audience because of their previous reputation. Their current reputation is ruining those games, but they provide a lot of money because they sell a lot of games, because a lot of people obviously still have some faith left in them. I'm just buying the game based on the game, because if they bought the game based on EA, then I'd never get FIFA, and it's just pointless. And plus, let's think about it. The developers put a lot of time and effort into this game, even though they didn't get organised, and EA didn't force them or push them harder, or they had a lot of problems with management and stuff at BioWare. We've heard it all. It's all online if you want to go search it up. I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to go into the positive side of Anthem today. I'm going to let you know, shall we say, what's changed, what I'm liking about it, why I'm still playing it, and in essence, whether I think it's going to be long before I stop playing it. So basically, I've just done a mission for the Arcanists, and I've been getting a bit frustrated with the fact that there's no clear defined story, really. It's all a bit wishy-washy. Yes, there is a story. Yes, it is short. Yes, I don't feel like you play through a story. Horizon Zero Dawn, I felt more like you played through a story in that. Destiny, no, pretty much the same as Destiny. It's very wishy-washy, and it's basically another one of the Borderlands clones that's just not gonna cut the mustard. But that's the negatives. It's not perfect, but it's fun. It is a lot of fun to play. The loot system, even though it's not perfect, they have improved it. They have tried to improve it. They might have done nothing. Who's to know? Only the developers will know, really, because let's face it, they could do anything and just say that they improved it. And anyway,
Hey,
regardless,
does this look like it's infected?
no, I'm not talking to you. So the fort, it expands. I see potential in it expanding further. I see potential in it having more interaction, and you can talk to people, and it advances the lore. And not saying that that's a new thing, but you get updates, and there's a lot of reading, but you generally get the gist from the conversation. You don't need to go in and read it if you don't want. Like, let's have a look at the store. This is one of the things which I kind of get what they're trying to do, but the idea of calling it featured means that there's a bigger store somewhere, but it isn't. There isn't one. You just go into your Javelin and you alter stuff, and there's a few items in there less than there is here. You know, in terms of, like, you've got 2 armor packs here. In the store, you've got 1 piece of armor in for each bit. You don't have anything more than that. Or maybe you'd have 2 for certain ones, but it's not really... I don't see the point in calling it featured, because this is the only place there is a store. As you can see, I've recently bought the what I would call tartan, because that's the kind of pattern you get for tartan. Plaid, tartan, you know. They have got another tartan one that literally just... no, it just isn't tartan. I don't know what it is. I mean, somebody who's a bit more educated on fabrics and fashions and stuff like that might be able to tell me why it's tartan, but I'm just going to adjust the camera because I feel like I'm leaning over a bit. But anyway, so we've got decals in the game. They're pretty cool. They're not the best, I'm not going to lie. They need to work on these and get some really good ones out. But this one that I've got's kind of cool, and we'll have a look at that. So as you can see, I've got the tartan going on, and then orange, and then if you look, then black stripes are part of it, and then if you scan over here, it's got that symbol on the arm, which I think is pretty cool. Now I'm wondering, and I hope this is a possibility, and if they listen to this or they watch this and they see hear my words, if you will, I'm hoping that stuff like that, where you've got the shoulder pad on there, could be for different alliances or factions. Now I know we've got the 3 factions of the Arcanists, the Freelancers, and the Sentinels, but what I'm meaning is, can we have our own factions aside from that and create like this custom armor piece? If you are wearing, like, if you were in our faction, you need the decal this, and then basically they can rotate the decals on the store, featured store, or they can implement at a certain point in the game, like maybe you have to unlock it, and further down the line you have a massive store with everything in it, and you can buy it whenever you want. Or certain decals are sold by certain people, and then the featured store makes more sense, because you can only get certain items from certain characters, but then every now and again you'll get 1 or 2 from each in the featured store. So if you can't be bothered going and finding the person in the massive fort that they're going to expand on, well, that's what it looks like anyway, because there's loads of closed off bits, and personally I think if it you know, you shouldn't really have that. So hopefully they will expand on that. I know obviously that you can't make the game infinite, but I think you should be able to see a bit more. Now I'll just while I'm in here, look at this. This is a suggestion that I've put to my fellow freelancer that I tend to game with, and this is all good and well. This little section here on the right there, it's all very good. I like it. It was needed. But if you've got parts with luck on them, why can you not see your luck percentage at the bottom of that list? There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to see that, and it would help a lot, because then you know if you need more luck, and you know if you've got too much luck, You can look for the parts with a look in it. Maybe they could be starred in some way on that screen. Say, this is luck, this is luck, you know. But I mean, personally, I think this is a big improvement, and I quite like it. And the fact that you can jump into the forging game is a good improvement. The fact that they haven't changed the fact that there's a lot of facts. That they haven't changed that you can't get your loot straight away, which I think is definitely the way to go. A lot of people don't like that. I personally do, because I think you've got your gear that you've already got. You've already opened that. It's already yours, and you're playing around with that gear. So it's like you could have salvaged that, but you didn't. You chose to keep it. So you must want to use it. Or you must want to at least have a look and compare it to what you've got, which is what I tend to do. I tend to bring it all through and compare it before I decide if I'm going to salvage it. But if you were allowed to get your gear and open it in-game while you're playing a mission, it just costs too much of opening and messing about. Maybe, I don't think it'd be doable, and that's probably why we've got it across the board, but maybe that could have been a feature they could have done only in free play. So basically you can't do it on a mission, but you can do it in free play. But that's by the by. I like it anyway. It is definitely a positive addition to the game. So what crap. So what I'm thinking is, I'll just have a look at another javelin.
Smooth.
Right. So this is my legendary Colossus, right? I'm not gonna lie, the fact that it's legendary confuses me. I came off the game, I went and installed the update at some point, and then came back on the game, and my epic Colossus had now gone to legendary. Not masterwork, but legendary. Yes, I've got a lot of masterwork components in there, but up until this update, if you had loads of epics and just a couple of blues, just a couple of loads of blues and then a couple of epics, you would still be blue, you would still be rare, you wouldn't be epic. In this case, I've got loads of masterworks and a couple of epics. That makes me legendary. But I think you should need at least one legendary in your loadout before you can be classed as a legendary javelin, no matter what the power. But obviously, if they've set the level at 601, all that adds up to more than 601, then I suppose, yeah, you are legendary. But I'm a bit confused by that. But that's my Colossus. Another decal on this. I can't remember what it's called, but she's got that little black and green thing at the top, using the tungsten armor colour and silver, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but titanium maybe. But I quite like the decal on that. I do feel like the decals that are full body, the wraps, the new wrap, the gold wrap that they've brought out, they seem alright, but you have to have the right colour scheme. There's nothing that's stopping you from using them, but I personally quite like these stickers on there, if you will, decals that go on just those two bits. And sometimes they put something on the back or the side somewhere, but yeah. And now let's see. So the new stronghold. Let's have a look. Let's go into that. While I'm just.
How can I fix you up today?
He just didn't tell me. Yeah. it looked a bit better with tungsten, a bit more mucky, I guess. But yeah, so it's tungsten. So Stronghold, the new Stronghold. Well, Temple of Scar thing, Temple of Scar one. Really like that Stronghold. Good addition. And then after that, they've added a Stronghold called the Sunken Cell. Again, that is a really, really good Stronghold. It's a lengthy one, and it's pretty tough if you want to play it on the hardest difficulty settings. Personally, I'm not up to the hardest difficulty settings yet. I'm on Grandmaster 1 at the minute. I can't play Grandmaster 1 on my own much, but I have managed to do a few missions today. But I find that, for me, there's this unerring sort of desire to make everything ridiculously hard and then force people to play it on that difficulty so that they can get the best loot and experience what I would say would be the full game. This is the same with Destiny, probably the Division as well, Division 2. I haven't really played Division 2, so I'm not going to comment on that, but it's like you have to be amazing before you can get the best out of the game, and not everybody is amazing. There's a lot of probably casual players who just play it every now and again, and also you need to have friends in games like this, realistically, and that pisses me off as well, because it's like everybody they're pushing for this online, always, all the time, online, and that means that basically you get this, dare we say, this story short, sort of this shortage of story and actual proper content. It's just like grinding and loot boxes. I mean, I like to grind a little bit, but the grinding's a lot easier if you like the story and the dialogue that's going on. You know, it makes it a little bit easier to stomach. I mean, personally, this is why you'll hear me refer to this game a lot, or this series quite a lot, because of the type of game that Anthem is. Borderlands. Not everybody likes Borderlands, and that's fine, but you cannot deny that the sense of humour in that game is unparalleled, and they just crack on. The characters are immersive, the whole world's immersive, and it's a lot of fun, and it's fun on your own, and it's fun with friends. It's not like that with Anthem. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it feels like they're restraining you because they can't create the content fast enough. And maybe EA needs to start learning from other game developers and publishers about not letting people know about the game they're working on until they know it's finished, or until they know that it's definitely going to be finished when it's going to be finished. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I know there were a lot of problems, but what I'm getting at is Anthem is a good game, but it's not a great game, and a lot of people have stopped playing it, and I can see why. There's not a lot of content. There is a lot of content in the sense of there's plenty to do, but there's not a lot of content in the sense of you're just grinding the same missions over and over and over and over again to let the game give you what you want. I mean, there could be so many different ways of improving the way the loot system works, but in essence, all they need to do is just give people loot. Don't be stingy. If you're a legendary Colossus, what use have you got for epic loot? Not a lot. Find a way to make that epic loot useful again. Maybe you can grind it down, which you can do to some extent, into the embers, but maybe you can take them embers and you can trade them up for masterwork embers, and then you can trade masterwork embers up for legendary embers. So work it from the bottom right up, and then eventually, you know, you've used all your commons and you've got more space for the epics, the legendaries, the masterworks, all that. And on top of that, maybe the consumables thing would help with using materials that you're picking up, but maybe find some way of implementing upgrades to your weapon. Not necessarily massive ones, just like say, and make the upgrades also have a tiered system where you could have green, uncommon upgrades, and and that adds like maybe elemental effects to the weapon or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe just add more strongholds missions and content to the game. Another javelin maybe might be an option. Although I don't know how easy that's going to be to put it in. Again, adjust the camera. But there's a lot of positives. It might not sound like it because everything seems to come with a negative, but there's a lot of positives. I mean, I was enjoying myself just then, just before I came on to stream. One of the main reasons I came on to stream was because I was enjoying the game, and I felt like, people need to know that it's not all bad. Like back in the day when No Man's Sky came out, yes, it was a disaster of a launch, just like Anthem, but look at the game now. It is an amazing game, and they've really put time and effort into fixing the problems that they had at launch, looked into adding more content, looked into basically fleshing the game out a lot more, and they're listening to player feedback. I'm pretty sure that either you're going to get that from BioWare or EA's just going to stop supporting it. Now, I hope that EA don't stop supporting it, because there's a few things that make this game really appealing to people. Like the fly-in aspect, which is apparently something that they took out at some point, which made them have to redesign them, and then they had to redesign them again when they said, no, we need the flying in. Like, they need to keep these elements working. The main thing for me is they need variety of loot, because I just feel like in games like Borderlands, the stats, it's just a tweak of the stats and it looks a little bit different or whatever. You know that, but you don't feel as like you're being cheated as easily. It's like Anthem just feels like they haven't put no effort into the guns, and they haven't put no effort into the loot that you get given. It feels like they're starting to put it in now, like after the game's been developed. And I think for me, like the loot, you're making a looter shooter, and that wasn't the initial. I don't think that was the initial plan, and I think that's maybe why they haven't put that much effort into the guns and stuff. So, props to the developers for what they have done, but management, directors and stuff like that needed to be focused on developing it as a fully fleshed game by the deadline, not a fully fleshed game a year after the deadline. And 5 years working out what the game was going to be is a little bit too long. Maybe 2 years might have been about enough. You shouldn't really, but then again, if they can develop it for another, it's a long time to be involved in a game. If you think about a 5-year discussion process and a 5-year, that's a long time. I wouldn't like to be working on the same project for 10 years, and that seems to be what they're having to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you really love working on that game, like No Man's Sky for instance, you might end up spending 10 years on the project and you might love it, and that's fine. But I'm trying to think what I want to do and show you a bit of gameplay while I'm thinking of to bring some more positives out. Well, I mean, I've got an expedition queued up here. I'm going to do it as Colossus because that's my legendary javelin. I'd just like to show you how that pans out. Um, but I love the fact that you can just jump straight into an expedition as well. That's another good thing. Archive hunt. So as you can see, Grandmaster 1, we'll give it a go. There might be some people in game so with me, so bear with. I'm debating, do I go into a party? I think I'm going to go into a party just so that necessarily putting people on my stream and not necessarily freaking them out by talking down the mic. But yeah, so I will look at consumables like this. You know, I've got a lot unlocked here, and you've got so much ember. It's like, well, just craft them. Right, so let's put gear sigil on that one, armor sigil on that one, and shield sigil on that one. Right, so basically you have like obviously your normal missions, and you have what do you have? Head strongholds, normal missions. You have contract. They have legendary missions and legendary contracts as well, which are a little bit harder, but you don't really notice the difference. I think they just ramp up the difficulty, like I said, sponge bullets and all that. Bear with me a second while this loads. So that's another pet peeve of mine on this game. The loading times, they are a bit ridiculous. And it's not an open world game if you've got loading screens all over the place. Right. So we have got Johnny in the mission with us. I do believe he's waiting for me to turn up.
Excellent. Stay right there so I can find the right script frequencies to open that up. No tuning points today. Got it.
Nice. So yeah, so I mean, it seems a bit...
The finish is in sight. Should be enough of that. Efficient. I see that I could use your help in another matter. Won't take a second. Can you check to see if a potential research site is safe to set up camp? Okay, on my way.
Why not? Let's follow Johnny Boy.
See all those beastly creatures? They need to get removed before anyone can be sent here. I'll take a look.
Bit of loot there. Acid rain.
No more scorpions. It's over. Always glad to see you survive a fight like that. Just realized I have something else for you in the area. I came across a passage that describes quite the find. Can you investigate?
Yeah, let's go.
Heading over there.
Bit of harvesting, why not? Is that a thing? Oh, that was a thing. Let Johnny Boy have first dibs on this one.
We're very close. I can feel it. An odd discovery.
Oh, there we go. You ready? Yeah, right.
I understand. You caught the attention of a wild brute. Need to hurry or revolt will recess that. Okay. Finished. Good work.
Oh,
Very good
nice
work.
one.
Alright, stay close so I can complete the attunement. Will do.
Nice. Oh, there's now 4 of us. Alright. So that was a little look at an Arcanist mission, but the missions, the contracts and stuff, that was the contract actually, they tend to take the same format, which I think is quite cool, gives it a little bit more sort of length to it, 3 things to do in each contract usually. There might be some that aren't, but might get rid of that. So I don't use snipers that much, so I'm going to delete that one. And that one. Probably going to delete that. Keep them too. And now, this is another positive addition. Instead, because you've got the forge wherever you want, instead of saying forge, you've got launch bay, Fort Tarsis, and play another mission. Which basically means you can just keep playing missions over and over. If you're not getting any loot, it's a lot easier, a lot better. I'm going to go to Fort Tarsis because I want to progress the Arcanist stuff, or at least have a look, see if I can progress it. And I probably want to get a drink as well, so I might call it there. But yeah, it's just, if you've been intrigued by Anthem, the concept of it, what it's going to be like, if you have the opportunity, rent it, try it for yourself, or maybe borrow it off a friend or something, and give it a whirl, see if it's your thing, because I personally think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit for. And the developers put a lot of time into it, even if management weren't sure what they wanted it to be, and it did kind of flop. It, there's a lot of positives, and I think there's potential for it to be better. I could be wrong, I could be completely wrong, but if you give it a whirl and you like it, you've not lost anything. If you give it a whirl and you don't like it, well, you've still not lost anything, because at least now you know for definite from your own mind that you don't like it. And yeah, I will catch you next time. I may pop on and stream some more Anthem at some point. I do want to get into some 2 Point Hospital, Pebbly Island DLC, so if you're looking forward to some of that, please do drop us a comment on this or any of my videos, and hopefully we'll get some of that out to you guys soon on the YouTubes. So yeah, so I've been Always Meet the Weirdo, this has been Anthem, some positive thoughts. Yes, there was still bits of negative in there, and I think that's hard to get away from, but there are strides. The Sunken Stronghold is just so much better. Temple of Scars good as well. I'm not going to say the Strongholds are pretty good, to be fair, but they should have been 4 of them from the start if it was to be a full game. But it's free. It's none of this like DLC stuff, so technically it's probably still classed as a base game. Anyway, see you later guys, hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to leave us a like. Bye.